All right, so anyway, I'll go ahead and get started. Um, Anybody who might come into this live stream a little late, I will go ahead and, I'm going to break this up. I'm going to do two things on this live stream, and then I'm going to break them up into smaller videos that'll be posted later. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first part, which, as you saw, I'm going to review the movie Prey. Um, I've been a really big fan of the Predator movies. Uh, whether that's intelligent or not, I don't know. But I've always enjoyed them, um, especially after seeing the first one. After seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger in that first movie back in 1987, just blew me away. I mean, I was an Arnold fan. Of course, let's see, 1987. I don't know if I actually saw it the year it came out, but let's just say I know I saw it by the time I was probably the age of 10, which probably not the greatest idea. There's a lot of movies I saw that I probably shouldn't have. Um, but ever since then, I've liked the thought of the Predator, I've liked the concept of the Predator, just the basic idea that it's a species they're just simply all about finding apex predators on other planets and testing themselves against them to try to get better. So that's kind of cool. Um, so when I heard that there was going to be a prequel Predator or um, uh, kind of a, I don't know, they didn't call it a reboot, so I won't go there. But I've heard the words prequel thrown around, and I guess that's kind of accurate. Um, I guess it's kind of a prequel. It, but all that being said, it's just a Predator movie that takes place in the early 1700s. We got a Native American backdrop and have a really wonderful set of scenery. Like just the way that they shot the movie, I was really impressed with. It did look beautiful. It did capture that, um, at least what looks like a legitimate presentation of how Native Americans might have lived back then. So the setting was really good. The scenery was gorgeous, and I'll have to give the film, the cinematography, a lot of credit. It was really good. The cinematography is really excellent. Um, Getting past that, uh, 10,000 foot view of the movie, what did I think? Um, what did I think of the movie? So, hmm, sorry, hearing something outside, I wasn't sure what was going on. Um, so, what did I think of the movie overall? Um, I think it's actually a pretty good entry into the Predator family of movies, if that's what you want to call it. It's um, it's definitely not the best. Let's not go there. But what is it? Is it competently shot? Yes. Is it competently acted? Yes. It passes all those bars, all those minimum requirements. So I think it's overall a pretty good movie. But it has some flaws. Um, some areas that I didn't like, and I guess let me get the cons out of the way before I go back into the pros. I wasn't, I'll be honest with you, I kind of get this one out of the way first. I wasn't a big fan of the design of the Predator. I know they're calling it the Feral Predator or something like that. Um, but I guess it's just like one of those things where up until this point, we've always seen predators that needed their mask because they had to breathe whatever their mix of air is on their home planet. And you always got the impression this was a pressurized mask, and it wasn't something that they could go without for a very long period of time. They could go for a little bit. I think Predator 2 even referenced this, after he lost his mask. He's basically breathing in and getting his getting his atmosphere right for at least a little while longer. Um, so didn't like that. The bone mask was kind of cool though. I'll give that. And then just the extreme mandible thing that it had going on. That was I was kind of iffy on that. So so getting that out of the way. Other than that, I liked the actor that they had play the Predator. He did a good job as far as the body language and the motions and things like that. So I was good with that. But just the facial design, it kind of seems like it seems like they try to get crazier and crazier with the Predator facial designs. And there is a really good video out there. I cannot remember who made it. Oh, that's going to annoy me if I can't remember it. But he actually talked about how in the first movie is the only movie where it really highlighted the mandibles, the cross mandibles, doing the clicking noises or clicking on the cross mandibles. And that's actually kind of like part and parcel to how they talk to each other. So, that was, like it seems like every one they do, the design just kind of keeps getting funnier and funnier and funnier. So, going off of that, one of the things, another thing I wasn't too blown away by, I wasn't a big fan of the script and the character development. Now, this doesn't really fall on the actors or actresses because they can only really work with what they're given and what kind of direction they're given from the director. But everybody felt a little one note, a little thin, if you want to go there. And it was just one of those things where I was kind of a little let down by that. A lot of time, like, in a lot of the other Predator movies, you have a bit of an ensemble going on. And each of the other lesser characters do get some moments to shine or show some character traits, character development, or at least be memorable in some way, shape, or form. This guy's the one that has the naughty jokes or whatever, And I didn't really see that in this movie, other than outside of Naru and her brother. No one was notable, other than that they were kind of like, one-dimensional characters. You had a few of the hunter pack. They're just kind of, one's like an apex asshole, and the others are kind of like the assholes that follow the apex asshole. So they were pretty thin. So that's something I would say is a little bit of a detriment. The movie runs pretty tight on time. So that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you like. Maybe if they added a little more time and a little more room for these characters to breathe, maybe that would have been a little better. One of the other things, I guess, is when the French come into the picture, the Frenchmen, it was, and I've heard this a few other places, but I cannot disagree with it. They were so one-dimensionally vile. Like, there wasn't a single one of them had even a mildly redeeming purpose. And it felt very ham-fisted, maybe even shoehorned in. Um, like, look, I get it. We're talking about, the Native Americans, and, they respect nature. They they don't just take the pelt. They use the whole animal as much as humanly possible, and leave as little waste as possible. And I totally get that, and I totally respect that. Honestly, it's pretty awesome. But the French coming in and being just so amazingly vile. I'm going to use that. I'm going to stick with that word because that's what you get. That's the and I know it's on purpose. That's the way it's supposed to happen. But it also doesn't seem realistic. Like, I've never seen any group of people that are all one-dimensionally that vile, and that disgusting and nasty. So, so moving on, let's get to the good stuff. What did I think was good? I actually think Amber Midthunder did a pretty good job with, well, quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of meat left on the bone for her to really do a lot with, but I think she did a fair amount with what she was asked to do. Could her performance have been better? Yes, but I don't really leave that on her because it doesn't feel like this script doesn't feel like it was a thick one, is what I'm getting at, I guess. But I did like her. She has good screen presence. And I thought they did a good job of making... I actually thought they did a fairly good job because this was one of those things, I mean, if you saw some of the marketing, I think you were going to get the impression, if you're, like, kind of on the lookout for wokeness and, as a critical drinker says, the message, the message, as he likes to say it, you might have been kind of tuned in a little bit, like, okay, how bad is this going to be? And actually, I didn't really find it to be that bad. Now, one of the things I will say is when she's like saying like, her mom's asking her, why do you want to hunt? And she says, like, because you all think I can't. This is where the script didn't do a very good job of showing me that they all really, really hardcore think that she can't, but the marketing kind of made it sound like it was like it's taboo for her to hunt because she's a woman or something. And in the movie, it doesn't really show that. So this is another thing that I've noticed lately where the marketing kind of says this show or this movie is going to be one way, and it actually ends up being something else and not being that. So I don't really think that I think the marketing kind of, it wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't, it didn't, I felt like I watched a little bit of a different movie than what they said I was going to see. And I'll say that, generally speaking, I found that to be a good thing. But, like, it kind of talks about how, like, nobody thinks she can do it, nobody believes in her, blah, 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 blah. And there's some of that there. But this is where the script didn't do a really good job of really fleshing it out and making you not just believe what she says, but actually root for her when she wins. Now, she does an amazing battle cry at the end. Sorry, we're getting into spoilers. She does an amazing battle cry in the final, at near the end of the final sequence. And that does, that brought the emotions up a little bit. But again, the script could have done a little more work in getting me there, pumping me up for that. But I will say they did a good job with showing me how, I don't know her stats, but let's just say she's not on the big side. She's not a Gina Carano or MMA fighter-esque sized woman. She looks like she's on the smaller side. She probably looks like she's at least my height or a little shorter. I'm 5'4". So I'm betting she's in my range, somewhere between 100 to 130. ish, give or take. They don't really show a whole lot of people who are super tall, amazingly taller than her, but they do show people taller than her. So I'm assuming she's not like she's not like Amazon warrior princess type size. Okay, so but they do a good job of setting up the final fight in a way that is believable, that she could win, and that she could potentially beat a predator. And I'll give credit to that because that's a hard thing to sell. Sometimes you see these movies, these what was it? The Charlie's Angels, the most recent one, or what was that movie? And I only saw the trailer, the 355 or something like that. And you see these women who are not, they're not, mirror images of the men they're standing across. They're significantly shorter, smaller, thinner, less, they weigh less. And they are just flinging these sides of beef around. These guys who probably are in the range of 190 to 250, 5'10 or better. And they're just flinging them around. And that's what you call very, very, very agreeable stunt doubles, and stunt actors. Very agreeable. This did a better job of showing how someone who's smaller but uses their brain to compensate for the lack of size, strength, and speed. And of course, compared to a predator, technically no one has it. None of these movies have shown you anybody can really just go straight up toe to toe with a predator for very long. You might be able to hold your own for a little bit, but after a little while, the predator is just bigger, faster, stronger, and more advanced. So this did a good job of showing how someone at a more disadvantage than we're typically used to seeing physically, body to body size, did a good job with that. I did like the brother, and I thought it was funny. I saw an article that he apparently was working in a grocery store or something before before this really started going. So I thought that was really awesome. Oh, I'm getting my first spam comments. Don't click on the spam, just so you know. So anyway, I really enjoyed the movie. I did enjoy the devolved Predator. So, because it was like, man, he's gonna, I'm thinking, how are, a bunch of whether it be one or a bunch of neighbors. Again, this is going back before the movie came out, so I didn't know exactly what I was watching yet or what I was gonna be in for. And how are a bunch of Native American warriors, whether it be a handful of them or just one of them, how are they going to go against a predator who, I mean, we're talking an interplanetary species who can travel the void of space. So their technology is far, far, far beyond, plasma caster on the shoulder, the gun on the shoulder. Maybe it's got the disc that's throwing and all that stuff. And I actually really liked that they showed either the predator species doesn't have that technology yet, or this is something I haven't heard, but this is something I kind of thought of. What if this is the predator, the predator that's going to go down and hunt, they have to take technology that doesn't give them too much of an advantage. Like their technology level can only be, if technology levels here for this planet and the species they're hunting, they can only go to here. I wonder if that's maybe what it is. Maybe there's a rule there that you can't go in too overpowered. Yeah, you're going in by yourself, so you got to have some resources, right? You're going in by yourself, no backup against God knows what. So maybe that's why they devolved it. But I did like the kind of more analog technology of the Predator, minus the laser pointer, because I was wondering how that was going to work. The laser pointer, they show that in the trailer, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how that's going to work. I think a whole bunch of people are going to get roasted. But I liked how they changed that with the darts. Although I don't know how those darts constantly track. But again, they do. All you need to know is they do. They show that they do. So that's good enough. Um, I did think it was interesting how the Predator was. And I don't know that, again, they don't go into a lot of detail, but I was wondering if this was the Predator species' first exposure to Earth, because it seems like he's spending his time, I assume it's a he, I have no idea. It is spending its time um, trying to figure out what's predator and what's prey on the planet. Trying to figure out the pecking order, maybe. So, um, so overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a fun watch. Is it perfect? Far from it. That doesn't mean I think it's terrible either. Um, you know, I don't really like, I don't know how much I really want to do like number rankings or points or, so much out of so much, but I would say that this is a worthy and worthwhile addition to the Predator franchise, which is more than I can say for a fair number, not quite half, maybe slightly less than half of the movies in the Predator franchise or Predator-related movies, if you want to go full broad spectrum. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good watch. It is a beautiful movie, and it has some rewatchability. I don't think the rewatchability is extremely high. This movie doesn't. It. One thing I will say that it lacks is, and I think I'd have to take another watch of it again to be sure. But it feels like it's lacking like a Hallmark scene. Sorry, waiting for Amazon Air to get done flying over my house. But it feels like it's missing a Hallmark scene that kind of, and I think this also goes back to the fact that the script is thin. Not only for the main characters but the side characters, they are just pure fodder. I don't feel anything when they die. I don't feel anything when they get massacred. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew you were going to die. Right. But I appreciate you. Um, let me know if you have any comments. Please leave some comments in the comment section. Likes, shares, subscribes, all that stuff. Tell your friends. And I'll definitely be back soon. I'm going to be doing a Bengals live stream here fairly soon before the season starts. Kind of a primer and a preview of the season. I can't wait to do that. I'm looking forward to my boys tearing it up this year. Hopefully they will. I believe they will. But NFL is a strange bird, and nothing's guaranteed to anybody. You got to show up and do it. It doesn't matter how good you look on paper. You got to show up and do it. So I'm looking forward to talking about the Bengals a lot this season, good, bad, or otherwise, and try to be consistent about getting some streams going for those. Anyway, thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I know this is probably the first time you see my face. Hopefully it's not scaring any small children. And looking forward to doing this more, and looking forward to reading your comments. Until next time, take care. Have a great day.